Youorns. Greetings, fellow Watford fans. Omar here, and it's time for the Orns Tuesday focus ahead of tomorrow's match between Sunderland and Watford at the Stadium of Light. Yes, Watford travel up north to take on Sunderland, a team that they have had some difficulty with in the past. Watford had a lead against Sunderland in the game last season, if I remember it correctly, and were not able to get a win out of it. I think they were up 2-0 at Sunderland and ended up drawing 2-2, if I remember correctly. Sunderland, a very resilient side and a team that really, I think, has aspirations for promotion. Watford rebuilding clearly now, I think it is to be said. And Watford go into this game tomorrow off the back of 2 consecutive defeats. The game against Leeds, where they just were not in the game at all, and the game against Middlesbrough, a game that they agonizingly had an opportunity to platform after showing some real character, being 2-0 down against Middlesbrough at home, battling back to 2-2, but falling apart again as a defensive unit, and the midfield were really non-existent for a lot of that game. Discipline was non-existent for a lot of that game as well. So 2 defeats in a row, 3 goals conceded in each of the last 2 games, 6 goals in 2 games. And that's troubling as we go into this game against Sunderland tomorrow. What is Watford going to be like? Although there is a boost, I think, for Watford, some stability in the manager being given an extension to his contract. That has not been released exactly how long as of the time I'm recording this. But Val Ishmael is the man, I think, to steer this ship the way it should be steered. And the footballing identity is forming slowly but surely. Even though the results aren't coming the way we would like them to as Watford supporters, there's no questioning that the football is better. The style of play is better. It's better than it's been over the last 2 or 3 seasons. And you see that these players are having a go. Now, look, sometimes there are things, and I've talked about a lot of them, that will drive you nuts about this Watford men's first team. But there are times, a lot of times, where you see this team going for it, caring about it, really running to the metal and just smashing the metal as much as they can in an effort to try to get a result. They are doing that. You didn't see that under Rob Edwards. You didn't see it under any of the managers that followed Rob Edwards, and you didn't see it under any of the managers that preceded Rob Edwards in that last Premier League season that they had before going down at the end of the 2021. Now, look, 2020, 2021, no, 2022. Watford got relegated again. They got relegated in 20 and they got relegated in 22, remember. So the bottom line is that you're seeing an identity build slowly but surely. Yes, there's a thin squad. Yes, the personnel isn't the way we'd like it, but there is a team here. You can't tell me there was not a team against Queen's Park Rangers, and you can't tell me there's not a team against Plymouth this season. Both those games, that's the Watford that I think we would like to see week in and week out. So as far as I'm concerned, this particular appointment now of Val Ishmael for an extension on his contract is going to be a key. I think that Watford will get something out of this game against Sunderland. Sunderland, by the way, not to be diminished. They are flying high right now. They've had a very good run lately. They are a very dangerous side. I think Sunderland are going to probably be in the playoff final this season. I think they are that good. I think they got a good manager. I think it's Tony Mowbray who's the manager there now, has been there, I think, for at least a season, if my memory serves me correct. He's a manager who I think is going to get some good results. I think he's really done a good job here. Tony Mowbray is a good manager. He's been around for a long time. He was at West Brom. He's been all over the championship. He is a manager that has definitely put an imprint on that Sunderland side, and they're going to be very tricky to deal with at home. Midweek game on Wednesday. Tough ask for Watford. But you know what? Even though Watford are not going to have the likes of Ken Sema, and even though Watford will probably be without, who is it? There's another player that was injured, I think, that had been injured. But the bottom line is Ken Sema definitely won't be playing the game. But Reece Healy, I think, will have a chance to play. I think he may figure in this game when all is said and done. But I think you expect to see in your starting lineup for tomorrow, among others, Bio, because he had a very good game on Saturday. You expect to see him start. I expect Val will go to a 4-3-3 tomorrow, not the 3-5-2 or the 4-4-2 that he went with to start the game on Saturday. And I expect that Watford will get at least a point here from Sunderland. Sunderland are going to be very difficult to deal with. Don't be surprised if Watford find a way through. They've dropped 2 games in a row. They're desperate to turn that around, and they have to tighten up their defense. That is going to be a massive factor in this game. Watford have got to be defensively switched on, and they must make sure that they game manage blocks of this game in 10 to 15-minute increments. The first 15 minutes, the second 15, and the final 15 for both halves. And of course, the injury time that comes in each half as well. But Watford are going to have to game manage in stages. If they get the lead, Watford, you're going to want to game manage at the next 10 minutes after you've scored. If they trail in that moment, Watford, they're going to want to game manage out those next 10 to 15 minutes and grow back into that contest. Watford cannot afford to allow Sunderland to get off in this game early. If Sunderland score early in this game, I don't think Watford are going to come back anywhere near the game. I don't have that kind of confidence about Watford away from home that I do at home. Watford, again, I say this again, showed real character against Middlesbrough from being down 2-0 to bring it back to 2-2 at the Vic. I don't have that same confidence about this team on the road. We know that Watford's road woes are well documented. They've, I think, only won 3 of their last 18 away games, something like that. They have not been good away from home. They've not traveled well in these games. At least it's not a Saturday, because Watford don't perform well on Saturdays wherever they are, with some very limited exceptions. The 2 games they won this season happen to be on Saturdays at the Vic. Now, this game tomorrow, of course, a Wednesday, means that all bets are off. I think Watford are going to perform a whole lot better than they did against Middlesbrough. I expect to see a very robust Watford side, a side now that knows that they can't get away with not performing under Val, because Val's going to be here at least not only to the end of this season, but obviously into next season as well. So they can't mess about with trying to get the manager fired, because the board have approved him. The board have extended his contract. So the players, if there's any players now that want to muck about around Val, they're going to have to decide to go muck about in another club, because the board's made it very clear today, wise move by the board, to keep Val on. And I think it's the smart move as well. I'm liking the move. And I think that now sends these players a sign of stability, a mentality that this is the man for the job. And if you want to be here as part of this rebuild movement, you are going to have to ante up, and you're going to have to get in there and be a footballing professional, not show up late for meetings or trainings or anything like that. Get on the pitch and give your all for the badge. Give your all for this, because after that, you know, the sky is the limit. But all the fans want is an effort. They want to see that you care. Watford fans have seen an effort this season. I think Watford fans have seen that the players care for the most part. There are a couple of games here and there that will make you kind of open your eyes a bit wider. But the bottom line is that Val is building something here. Rob Edwards hadn't been given a chance to build anything yet. And the difference between Rob Edwards and Val Ishmael in terms of the identity is that Rob Edwards didn't build a footballing identity. He wasn't given a chance to, obviously, but even in the 10 championship games he was here, he didn't have a different style of football. That you didn't see the style of football change for Watford. As fans, it was pretty much the same as it had been the last few seasons. With Val, what you're seeing now is a change in the way the football's being played, the footballing style, the way Watford are attacking is better, more fluid. They're getting onto it. They're going for it. You didn't see that a lot with Rob Edwards. So that's the difference. The numbers, listen, numbers do not tell the full story in these things. It's the intangibles and what you don't see. But what you feel with Val is that he is getting an identity slowly but surely being formed at this team, at this club. And the players are taking to it. And I think you are seeing a lot more of that. It's going to take time. The fans are going to have to be patient here. Some fans are going to not like this extension from Val. I think most of the fan base, I think, does, at least unscientifically on Twitter and social media, they do. But the bottom line is that Watford now, the men's first team, knows no shenanigans are going to be tolerated. This manager disciplines players, which the other Watford managers hadn't really done. This manager is not to be trifled with. And I think what he's building here is not to be trifled with either. So listen, I say thank you to the board for doing that. It's a good move, a wise move, sensible. Obviously there's a lot of trust between Watford and Val and vice versa, and the staff around him, and the players obviously trust him as well. So, the players apparently were happy about this move now, about this extension. Now, we'll see about that, but that's what the statements out of Watford are telling us. And so, look, as far as I'm concerned, this is a very important moment. It's a smart bit of timing as well, because it's the day before a match. And the other thing that you got to keep in mind with this is that these 2 games away from home now, these players have to build something serious here. Don't muck about in this game or the game on Saturday away from home. And of course, after that, there's an international break. So with this announcement today, there's no worry about the dreaded international break and any kind of thing coming out of Gino in terms of sacking this manager. So you can put that out your mind now, and these players hopefully will put that out their minds, and they will get down to the business of knuckling down and playing some football tomorrow night against a very tough and dangerous Sunderland side. This has been the YouOrns Tuesday Focus.